Eevee, you're just going to lie in the shade while I do the video? Yeah, it's boring when you stand still, Dad. Well, it's day 27 and I've made it to Frith Hill. This is the northern end of the Chiltern Tunnel. This is basically, the tunnel portal is going to come into the side of this hill. And behind me, we have another woodland. It's not an ancient woodland, so HS2 aren't trying to greenwash the damage that they're going to cause when they completely destroy it. And I mention this because I don't think I've quite explained this well enough. Because the Woodland Trust have consistently been the one environmental NGO that's been making the running and pointing out the desolation that HS2 will cause because it hits 108 ancient woodlands in England. HS2 Ltd said, oh yes, but that's hardly any ancient woodlands, because they're being obviously totally disingenuous about this, because we've got loads and loads of ancient woodlands in other parts of the country where national parks are. If you look at, say, the proportion of ancient woodlands they're hitting in places like here in Buckinghamshire or Warwickshire where I live, it's really, really high. So you're destroying a resource that is very valuable and very rare in the areas where they are, and you say, oh no, there's loads of them like 200 miles away, it's no problem. And of course in that, they're completely ignoring, I've mentioned this a few times, woodlands that aren't ancient. And the thing is, it's not that they're definitely not ancient, it's simply it can't be proven that those woodlands were there 400 years ago, because there's no map that says that they're there. They may well have been there in a number of cases, but the point is that they are still mature and established habitats, like hedgerows, massively important for wildlife. And these things are just going, and this destruction is being brushed under the carpet and minimised and dismissed as much as possible. Anyway, this footpath apparently has been closed since September the 2nd. Seems pretty open, and this is the top end of the haul route, because obviously they've closed the footpath because they're doing loads and loads of work. And again, what we've got here, a situation where they've done an amount of enabling work. They've got the road up the hill. Oh, there is someone there. They've got the road up the hill from Great Missenden, but they don't really seem to be doing a great deal since. This is beautiful HS2, typical HS2. Here, this map here actually perfectly demonstrates what's going on, right? That this footpath, this is where I am here, this footpath here is closed September, October, November this year, and then again next year. This one is closed until October 2020. That's what the purple means. So it's shut. It's shut for over a year, right? That is completely clear. But then, just to confuse you, what they've done, we'll tell you this information about the second path in a different way. So here, it's down as a temporary closure with the exact dates. But this one, the one that I'm on, isn't actually shut at all on the second map, because it's showing, oh, we're just showing the second footpath on that one. What is wrong with you people? This is not needed. But of course that's HS2 all over, isn't it? It's not needed, and so much money is spent. This is, or rather was, Annie Bailey's, a countryside pub that's been boarded up for a while, but don't worry, it's been boarded up HS2 style, so we can get in. Yeah, the dog's there, she's tied up. You will have noticed that I don't really tie Eevee up, she doesn't need tying up, but here there's a load of broken glass on the fort, so she's tied up away from where all the broken glass is. Good girl, you just wait there. Doesn't like being tied up. Last time I was here was probably 6-7 years ago. We took then Shadow Secretary of State for Transport, Maria Eagle, on a tour around HS2, and we stopped here. And it was a thriving country pub. Just one problem, it was due to be demolished by HS2. So it was sold off and shut down and became a haven for graffiti. So HS2 took it on and they decided to board it up and leave it. The problem is that in 2015, so 4 years ago now, the Chiltern Tunnel was extended about 1.5 miles that way to southeast to where it was before, Frith Hill. And of course, this doesn't get knocked down anymore, so surely you'd think, well, they'll sell it on, they'll do it up, they'll just leave it here derelict. Yeah. And yeah, it's become, now we've got graffiti inside, floorboards are up, lovely welcoming fireplace there. There's the bar, graffiti suggesting that, well, chalk, that they were here this year. Yeah, the bar looks pretty damn terrible. Well, that's some of the ceiling down. Guessing this was the kitchen. Oh yeah, there's a cheese grater there. This was the kitchen. So, when HS2 say that they intend to be a good neighbour, say 2 words to them, Annie Bailey's, and you'll realise just what their promises are worth. This is Mantle Wood, and you may just about be able to make out in the distance one of the HS2 boreholes. This has been saved by the tunnel that goes underneath it. And I bring that up because it's again going back to what I was saying before, that when the HS2 tunnel was extended, they made such a big fuss about the fact that they weren't now going to go through Mantle Wood here, and that shotgun bird scare or whatever it is really putting me off, as you may have guessed by now. They made such a big fuss about it then, that they were saving this ancient woodland, and now they're just basically trying to dismiss the whole sanctity and necessity and usefulness of ancient woodland, and it's just wrong, because it is disingenuous by not mentioning the fact that there's very little ancient woodlands in the areas where we're destroying ancient woodlands. And I should point out as well, I was slightly wrong when I said Stockings Wood, which was the woodland in the background before. I said that isn't ancient woodland, and I was sort of right, but I was also sort of wrong. And this perfectly demonstrates the complexity of the issue, because Stockings Wood is split into 2 bits. One bit is 100% ancient woodland. The other bit, which was in the background of where I was shooting, is about 2/3 ancient woodland, 1/3 plantation. And in my defence, the bit you could see was the plantation bit. But this again demonstrates the complexity of the issue. I look at Cubbington. South Cubbington Wood is ancient woodland. North Cubbington Wood is plantation. However, it's quite likely that before it was a plantation, it was a deciduous woodland, a native deciduous woodland, and maybe the soils are that of ancient woodland, and you don't know. And this is something that's actually happened as a result of HS2, is there is now more certified ancient woodland as a result of HS2, because people have said, now hang on, that's clearly been there for 400 years, gone back, looked at the maps, the inventory has been updated, and more ancient woodland has been added as a result of people investigating woodlands as a result of HS2. But these are essential resources to the country and to the world. And it's not just whether it's an ancient woodland. Obviously, ancient woodlands are more valuable because they have different soils. However, mature woodlands are still very, very valuable habitats, and they're pretty useful in sort of creating oxygen for us to breathe. And HS2 have basically got it in their head that, oh, well, if it's not an ancient woodland, we're not even going to make a fuss about it. Any other woods, hedges, who cares? And the thing is, a lot of people care. And that's the problem with HS2. Designed for 250 mile an hour, straight a route as possible, takes out more habitats, takes out more valuable ecological resources. It's just unnecessary. Anyway, let's see the next valuable ecological resource. This is a good one coming up next. This is Shardeloes Lake. And it may not be a big lake, but it is a massive, massive problem for HS2. We already heard about 2 years ago that they're potentially going to have to stick the tunnel 20 metres deeper under this lake than they originally anticipated, because it's all cracked underneath. It's fissured. It is a geologically unique chalk lattice structure, both this in the Misbourne Valley and the Chess Valley, and it's this big lattice underneath. It's like It's like if you ever seen a water park and you see outside the slides come out the building and they intertwine with each other and they all go around in a loop like a ball of string in knots. That's what it's like underneath here with all the various underground rivers and streams. No one understands it. And we were already looking at 20 metres deeper than the original plans. They're now doing more ground surveys, just going to start now, apparently finish February 2020. And people are actually worried that the ground survey, the test drilling itself, could knacker up the water supply in the aquifer, because you're going to drill through, you know, various different bits of this ball of knotted string. And it is a massive problem. And the reason is because HS2 didn't do the ground surveys, because they were completely arrogant. They thought, well, it's chalk. Well, we had chalk with HS1 in Kent, and HS1 in Kent is solid chalk. And what you've got here is you've got chalk rubble. So you've got bits like this, bigger bits, smaller bits, that have all compacted down that look like they're solid, but they have crevasses in between them and all that sort of stuff. And it could fall apart quite easily, you know, if you drill through it. You know, if you put in a 200 mile an hour train that's gonna, with the vibration that's gonna cause, it could cause the whole thing to collapse. And they're only just realising this now, and it is a massive problem, because of course you can't just move it a couple of 100 yards either way, because it's the same a couple of 100 yards either way. This is why HS2 should never have gone here in the first place, because they didn't understand the geology. It's the same as the Cheshire brine fields. No one with any sense would have put it here in the first place without looking at the geology. The other thing, of course, is it's uphill to Frith Hill from here. You're looking at an even deeper tunnel here. There were already questions, because basically you've got a tunnel that goes uphill and comes out of the top of a hill. Like, how that was sensible in the first place, I don't understand. But the base of this keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's questionable whether a train will actually be able to make it up the slope underground, which is, again, a slightly worrying issue concerning the entire viability of the project. And while people say, oh, we can make the tunnels narrower, it's a way to save money. Oh, we'll slow down HS2. The reason they're saying that is, well, if you slow it down, you can make the tunnels narrower, because the air pressure's not as great if the trains are slower. And in theory, that means less vibrations, fewer vibrations, so less chance of vibrating the whole thing apart. It doesn't get rid of the slope though, and of course it means you have less impetus when you're going up that massive hill underground. And yeah, this is a real serious problem. Threatens the feasibility of the entire scheme, and no one really knows about it. And it's a mess. Of course it's a mess. Everything about this project's a mess if you've not been listening. It's a disaster. This lake, it's just a massive underground lake, as well as what you can see here. And people have been telling them this for years, and they're not listening. It's only now we're getting a bit, oh yeah, we best drill some boreholes. Oh, for God's sake, what's wrong with you? Sorry. I'm almost at London and it's been a hot day, and yeah, I think I might have a bit of a day off tomorrow when if I get to Herfield tonight. I think I'll stay there for the day. So the end will be in sight. I think I will actually be in Greater London there. Yeah, well. Anyway, onward. I don't know if you can just about make out those diggers over there, but that signifies that I have made it across the M25, and that is the HS2 South Portal entrance. And yeah, it's dark, so I can't really do any filming there, but over there is the Colne Valley Park, and as you may know, there's a protest camp there, so I'm going to camp there tonight. It'd be rude not to, really, as I am camping. It's still about 2 miles away and it's got dark, but I can go along the canal most of the way, which is brilliant. You know, straight line, you're not going to fall in. Don't have to worry about cars, don't have to worry about finding the way out of the field. And yeah, I'll come back and do this in the morning. Well, it's the end of day 27 and we have made it to the Harefield Protection Camp in the Colne Valley, because you know what, I thought there was no point getting almost here when I'm camping and there's a camp here, and just walking a little bit tomorrow to get here. Though it wasn't quite the 16 miles I expected, it was 21.65, which I believe is the second most I've done in the whole time we've been walking. Eevee's behind. And you know what, I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm a bit knackered and there's lots to show you with the camp, but sort of needs to be daylight to do that, and it'll be daylight in the morning.